I don't know how to begin. After today, well, yesterday, it is past midnight here, but after yesterday, I'm pretty sure everybody around the world have no words for what went down. I mean, it clearly shows that America is looking bad for one. We have been looked at as a greedy, selfish country, but we also, unfortunately, have the means and resources to help other people. On the terms of greedy and selfish, it really depends on the presidents. So Trump and Zelensky had a cabinet meeting. It did not. I mean, I've had bad aura about this ever since this started, and it's a shame when you strike out three times. It doesn't matter if you're a good negotiator, as Trump brags about. Once you strike out three times, that's a wrap. I mean, yeah, there's a reset, yeah, there's forgiveness, but after the third time, and you still fell worse than the second and first, that looks bad. So let's, I mean, I don't even know where to begin, but let's take a look at this cabinet meeting and see what goes on with this meeting here. I mean, this is a sad, sad year in the sad 4 years of America. I,
We will not stay. Russia will go further to Baltics and to Poland, by the way. But first to the Baltics. It's understandable for them because they've been in the USSR. You know, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin wants to bring them back to his empire. It's a fact. And when he will go there, if we will not stay, you will fight. Your American soldiers. It doesn't matter. Do you have ocean or not? Your soldiers will fight.
Mr. President, would you be willing to visit Ukraine?
They are worried that you align yourself.
Now, right now, it looks like the press is
What's your
taking
message for
questions.
them?
So this is the
Well, if
beginning
I
of
didn't
the
align myself with
questions.
both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, "Hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal?" That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United
It's funny. He just exposed himself because, first of all, a lot of the European prime ministers are bold enough to say, we do not align with Putin. We do not agree with Putin. We don't like what he's doing, whether they like him or not. But as a president of Ukraine and as a president of Russia, they will say, I do not like Putin because he has committed war crimes. In fact, there was a headline which probably never reached America, but it is on Indian news. And we're actually watching Indian news right now because honestly, to get the full broad perspective of all this, you've got to watch news around the world. We have been fed one side of the news for decades. This man comes in and lambasts the news media for fake news because, and I'm going to be honest, he lambasts the other news syndicates that speaks out against him. Fox News does not speak out against him. So that's why he's always on Fox News. He doesn't care for all the other news syndicates. The only thing is, news syndications, news broadcasts only clip and cut what they always felt was breaking news. They take out all the fluff and all the extras out of there that's not exactly important for the time constraint that they have. That's all they had. They had about an hour to broadcast news, so they had to clip and cut what was most important and get the news out. There was really nothing fake about it. And if you look on news podcasts and podcasts, They all do the same thing. In fact, a lot of news syndications are on streaming services broadcasting the exact same content they did without the streaming service. Nothing has changed. In fact, the podcasters are actually broadcasting, some of them broadcast what's already broadcast on the news and they just give their take. Nothing has really changed. But Fox News is the one broadcasting their side of the story. A lot of it is personal opinion, which turns into fake news. But as long as it supports his agenda, it's not fake news. And if people pay attention, which most Americans do, that's why this country is horribly divided. Horribly. And they're more divided on this because he just admitted he's not going to talk bad about Putin. He actually proclaimed that's his best friend, his best business buddy. And the only reason why Putin doesn't attack during Trump's term is because he tries to negotiate business dealings with Putin. They even admitted Putin was part of the G8 when he invaded Crimea or Kiev. I'm not sure which one. I have to go look it up. Russia was kicked out of the G8 by the time Trump got into office. And that infuriated Trump. So Trump may have stalled a war, but he stalled the war because he was making business dealings with Putin for 4 years. And by the time, like Zelensky and everybody may have said, by the time they had a deal, Trump was already out. Putin didn't like what Biden said, what the the EU said, and then he's like, oh man, forget this. So a lot of times people will align themselves with friends, whether people agree or not. But when people do wrong, you'll see a lot of times the friends of a friend will not point that person out and say, hey, yo, you're going to have to slow down a bit. They usually don't. And Trump will not backstab people who will do deals with him. He will not, regardless of how wrong they are. And he does a lot of wrong stuff. And that's why this country is horribly divided right now. Horribly.
Very
You will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influenced.
You're right now not in a very good position. You've allowed yourself to be in a very bad position, and he happens to be right about it.
From the very beginning of the war.
You're not
Mr.
in a
Brown,
good position.
I
You don't
was
have the cards right now. With us, you start having
not
cards.
playing
But
cards.
right now, you don't.
I'm very
You're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War
This
III.
right here
You're
shows
gambling with
this
World
man
War
thinks
III.
about
And
money
what you're
only.
doing
When
is
people
very
talk about playing cards,
disrespectful
gambling,
to the country, this country.
that's all they care about is
And
money.
it's
With
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once this
A lot
entire
of
meeting?
times.
No, in this
Even
entire meeting, have
today.
you said thank
Even
you?
today.
You went to Pennsylvania and campaigned for the opposition in October. Offer some words of appreciation for the United States of
you're
America
speaking about?
and the president who's trying to save your country.
Please, you think that if you will speak very loudly about the war, you
He's
can...
not speaking loudly. He's not
Yeah.
speaking loudly. Your country's
Can I-
in big
can I-
trouble.
can I
Wait a
answer?
minute. No,
Can
you've
I
done a lot of
answer?
talking.
They're both
Your
speaking
country
loudly
is in
against
big
Zelensky.
trouble.
I know.
That's
You're
obvious
not
right
winning.
there.
You're not winning this.
They're both
You have
speaking
a
loudly.
damn good chance of
Trump's
coming
been
out
staying-
okay
over
because
talking
of
him
us.
for a while.
We are staying in our country.
But then
staying
that's how he is.
strong.
When
From
a
the very
bully
beginning
be
of the
a
war,
bully,
we've been alone.
they're gonna
And we are
bully you
thankful. I
over
said thanks
You
what you're
haven't
saying
been
by
allowed.
speaking over
You haven't
them.
been allowed.
So-
We gave you through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president $350
And there he is calling
billion.
names out,
You
We
calling
gave
other
you
people.
military
Name
equipment.
call,
And
you
your
know.
men are brave, but they had to use our military.
What about
If
West?
you didn't have
You
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have our military equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard it from Putin. In 3 days, this is something
Maybe
new.
less.
In 2 weeks, of course, yes.
It's going to be a very hard thing to
That's
do
a good point.
business like this.
That is an excellent point. He just said, Putin said, if we made a deal with Trump, this would have been over in 3 days. Trump was saying the same thing. Then Trump turned around, oh, this will be done over in 2 weeks because Zelensky kept backing out of the minerals deal for the 2 weeks that they kept forcing him to sign it with no security guarantees. Now it's going on 3 weeks. Let's just say about a month. He failed. Trump said 24 hours in his interviews and inauguration speech, which I get it. You want to talk talking points and be persuasive, which most business people do. One thing about business people, they lie when they advertise. They lie. I caught on to that when I used to be in sales. I'm just gonna put that out there. One of the things I hated about sales and retail, they lie to get you to buy something, to make a deal. They lie. It's called calling a bluff. They try to bluff you to make you react. And if you take the bait, you're sold. Bam. Then you realize, oh snap. So once the deal is signed, now you got to put up with it. They won. That's how a lot of businesses get screwed out of money. That's why right now this country, in fact, I'm gonna have to do research on this, but I guarantee you this country has the highest lawsuits in the world based on shitty business dealings. Because business people lie. They take advantage of you. Just real talk. Real talk.
Tell you.
It's sad.
Because let me tell you, you don't have the cards. With us, you have the cards. But without us, you don't have any cards.
One more question to
And I
Mr.
like how I said we're not playing cards here. I love how you said that.
Because the attitudes have to change.
What if Russia breaks ceasefire? What
As
if
you can
Russia
see,
breaks
Zelensky was very uncomfortable with that. He's not having an
I
attitude.
understand that it's a heated conversation right
What are
now,
you
but
saying?
what
She's
if
asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now?
But they have
Okay.
That was
What if they
disrespectful.
broke it?
That right there was. I've seen some of Trump's cabinet meetings with the press, and I've noticed, even with his first time, I noticed he has no respect for anybody that's non-American. Zero respect. If you're foreign and you ask a press question, he'll be like, I don't understand what you're saying. I don't know what you're talking about. I can't hear what you say. And then instead of waiting for somebody to reiterate what the question was or retranslate, he'll just like cut them off and then go to somebody. And I've seen him do that. He'll just cut them off and go to somebody else. And he does a lot of disrespectful things. But the sad thing is, people around the world try to give people, whether friend or foe, utmost respect if you are invited into their space. When you're invited into the space, you have to give respect. That's just the way it is. It's the law of the land. They try not to disrespect you, because if you try to disrespect them in their space, they have every right to kick you out of their space. But he is very disrespectful. But because he has a very large following, he's going to have a lot of backup in how he acts. And people, when people believe in you and they agree with your methods and your aura and the way you do things, they're going to align with you and back you up. People do think alike, because we're all human. We got people who think alike, who don't think alike. It's just very, this is pathetic. I don't even understand. I don't know. This makes no sense. I don't, we, this, people have said, and I agree, the last 4 years was the worst. And the biggest thing is the administration lied about Biden's health. If they had just admitted he was suffering from mental issues, from dementia or Alzheimer's, they could have had Kamala Harris take over. Like the last 2 years, for one, they would have allowed her to have more experience to run the country. Number two, and people would have had a chance to see what she was capable of, not just thrust out in the last 4 months to campaign, and then she was just unprepared, off sync, just out of whack. It was just a shit show. They puppeted Biden like a aging king, like they used to do in Britain. Now, and you have to understand, the way America runs is the way Britain used to run, probably still does. That's why Trump called himself a king on Twitter, or I'm sorry, on X and Truth Social. We have remnants of the old British Empire. We we do similar things that Britain did, does, and maybe still do. America is the stepchild of Britain. Period. Period. It is what it is. But this whole thing is it's a what the fuck situation. It surpasses the debacle. This is a clear example what greed looks like. Clear example. Selfish greed, bias. Some people say racist, but to be honest, you're not really a racist if you accept people that align with you regardless of who you are. You're just biased. Racist is usually their race um, hatred towards a general culture or multiple cultures that do not look like you. He will accept anybody that aligns with him, and not a lot of people align with him, unfortunately. That's non-white, but it is what it is. Disrespectful.
Something
What a
like
shit
yours,
show.
yes.
What
Maybe
a shit show.
something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper than. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you for.
Thank you, President Trump.
Ah man, I missed most of it. See, there was something very important that came up where he was asked about the way he dressed, and I paused and I missed it.
You said yesterday that you have.
Are you going to send more arms to Ukraine in case there's no peace?
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine, yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to send very much because hopefully we're going to have it finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not
And it's
looking
not
forward
happening
to
quickly.
sending a lot of arms. We're looking forward to getting the war
It's not
finished so
happening
we
quickly
can
at all.
do other things.
Absolutely not.
But we very much appreciate the agreement because
Because
we
he said
needed
24
what
hours
they had,
didn't
and
happen. He said
we're
within
treating,
days didn't
Our
happen.
country
He
is
said
not
within
treated
weeks
fairly.
didn't happen.
Biden didn't do that. He didn't know what the hell he was doing. This should have never happened. This
And he
should have
doesn't know
never
what the hell
started.
he's doing either.
But, sure, the answer is yes, but hopefully we won't have to send much because I'm looking forward to getting it done quickly, very quickly.
He's failing
Provide
quickly.
Security guarantees, Mr. President.
I don't want to talk about security yet because I want to get the
But
deal done.
there we go.
You fall
See,
into the same
that's
trap
the
like
problem
everybody else.
right
A million
there.
times you said
And
over and over.
Zelensky,
I want to get
French
the deal
Prime
done.
Minister,
Security is so easy.
British
That's
Prime Minister have said
about
that.
2% of the problem.
We need
I'm not worried about
some
security.
proof
I'm worried
about
about getting
security.
the deal done. The
And all he
security
cares
the
about
easy
is a
part.
deal
Security
to
is
get
very
money
nice.
back.
Everybody
That's
stop
all
shooting. And now will
he
Europe
said.
put
He
people
wants
there? I know
money
France
back.
is
He
going
wants to be rich.
I know the
He don't
UK
care
is
about
going
security.
to. I know other countries are going to, and
He
they
doesn't.
happen to be right next door. We haven't committed, but we could conceivably. We have security in a different form. We'll have workers there.
See, that's not security.
Digging, taking the raw earth so that we
not
can
security
create a
at
lot of
all.
great product in this country. So in that sense, you have something, but we haven't determined that yet. I will say, in speaking to France and in speaking to, and they were here, as you know, last week and just the other day, they have committed to a lot of security. I don't think you're going to need much security. I think once this deal gets done, it's over. Russia's not going to want to go back, and nobody's going to want to go back.
He's shaking his
When
head.
this-
No, he
when this
already
deal ends,
knows.
I really believe this deal is
He knows
going to be over.
he's full of shit.
Yeah, please go ahead. Go ahead.
Mr. President, thank you. You hosted Macron and Keir Starmer at the White House this past week, both of whom praised your courage and conviction to lead the pathway towards peace.
Yes.
Part of that involved, though, re-engaging Russia in diplomatic relations, something that previous leaders lacked the conviction to do so. What gave you the moral courage and conviction to step forward and lead that?
Well, I love this guy. Who are you with?
One American News, sir.
Well, that's why I like him. One American News does a great job. I like the question. I think it's a very good question. It's a pathway to peace. It's a pathway to getting something solved. And I feel that as the head of this country, I have an obligation to do that. Plus, we're very much involved. We got involved. It's too bad we got involved because there should have been no involvement because there should have been no war. And there shouldn't have been October 7th. That would have never happened. As you know, Iran was broke. They had no money to give to Hezbollah. They had no money to give to Hamas. They were stone cold broke. And then under Biden, they became rich as hell. They went from no
Iran
money
was not broke.
to $300 billion
See,
in a
see
period
what
of 4 years.
what he's tripping
And
about,
they
and
gave a
he's
lot of
tripping
that
about
money
this
away.
300.
You see what
I don't know
happened,
what
and that's
is
a
with
real
him
mess
with the
also
350
that we hope to be able to
situation.
solve.
He just everything is
But,
350,
no, I
350.
appreciate your question very
Iran
much.
was not
It's just,
broke.
I feel I have an
Iran was just
obligation
hit
to
with a
try
lot of
and,
sanctions. But see, here's the
do
problem.
something to
What
stop the death.
refused to admit, Iran had enough money to buy weapons drones
do
from
like
Russia and
the
China.
Yeah, really?
Even though
They
I
had
think-
the money to
I
do
think
it
he's a
in
good guy,
4
by the way.
years.
But I
That's
don't
why
know if
not
we do like
just
each other, but you know
October
what?
6th, but
I think
No,
he's
no,
dressed.
I
that
don't know.
Israeli,
like this
I
guy.
guess it
don't-
was
think he's
a
dressed beautiful.
test
I
attack
have more, I
to
have more
test their
serious things than
Israeli
answer on
defense
such
or
questions.
the
I will
Israeli
answer on
defense
more
dome.
serious
That's a good
question, if I
statement.
can.
They had
So
hundreds of
about
drones.
security guarantees.
I mean, it
And
was
about just ceasefire.
ridiculous.
We can't just speak about ceasefire
Israel-
and speak.
Israel's
Will not
defense
work.
dome couldn't even
Just
handle it
ceasefire
all.
will not-
America had
never
to use
work
their gunships
because
to
I'm
shoot
like a
down most of
president.
the planes
I have
along
this
with Israel.
experience, and not only me. Ukraine.
So it just showed a
before my
weakness,
presidency,
a
from the
loophole.
2014, Putin broken 25 times.
But it also allowed
25
Iran to
times
see that regardless of what
broke
they do, America's going to intervene,
his
period.
own signature.
So it's a waste of
25
time
times
to
he
try to
broke
attack
ceasefire.
like that. They're
But
going
he
constantly.
never broke to me. He
It-
never
But at the end of the
no,
day-
you were the president.
He
You were
never
the
broke-
president
he
during.
never broke to me.
In 2016, you've been the president, Mr. President. You've been the president, but he had, of course, not with you, but he had during those period, he had conversations with our side. And we had Normandy format, you know, the France, Germany, Ukraine, and Russia. And he broken 25 times. That's why we will never
See?
accept just ceasefire. It will not.
Ceasefire
work
does not
without
work. He just said it. Ceasefires do not work. Middle East is a prime example.
Right about,
The Middle East is a prime example. Ceasefires do not work, period.
Strong army is enough. Because his
Especially
soldiers
with
afraid,
presidential
Putin's soldiers afraid of our soldiers
races
when we're
every
strong
8
enough.
years,
If we
every
are not
4 years. We
strong
switching
enough,
presidents
we are
every
empty.
8 years.
If our storage is
Doesn't work.
empty, we can't defend our land. Today, you know, he knows that we have all the world knows that we have meeting. Yes, why he's using ballistic? Putin today using ballistic on our hospitals, schools, and etc. Ballistic. So he knows that we are here and that President Trump is really have goodwill to stop this war. And you hear now the president. So why he's using? So he doesn't want to stop. He doesn't
There you
want-
go.
But I hope that we will do it. Really, we'll do
The
it.
last 3
Security,
weeks,
when we
Putin
speak about
continued to
security
attack.
guarantees, when
He
the Europeans
continued
are
to
ready for
attack
contingents,
Ukraine
they
in the
need
last 3 weeks
USA
during these
backstop.
negotiations.
If there will not be
Zelensky
United
is smart.
States, we will
Not
never have
not just
any
he's smart.
contingents, strong
He's being
contingents from the
honest.
Europeans, because they don't want to divide alliance connection between the United States and the main and
Bam.
strongest ally
Bam.
and Europeans. And this is crucial. This is important.
Again,
That's what we want
Europe-
to speak about.
Ukraine's
very
trying
much.
not to-
This is very important, and they are defense. So
Cut
air
America
defense,
out
really,
before
we have
America
big
cuts
deficit
themselves
with all
out.
the systems, and we need to provide.
But Trump
this.
wants to
We need
cut
it
us out,
very much.
but still get money in.
Otherwise,
That's
Putin
the
will never
old
stop.
way.
And we'll
That's
go
the old way
further
of
and
American
further.
thinking.
He doesn't want. He hates us. You
They're
know?
gonna help,
It's not
but
about
we
me.
want
He hates Ukrainians.
minerals
He
and money
thinks
in
that
return.
we are not a nation.
And then they bitch and
He
complain.
thinks, and he shared this.
We
source.
spending
I think maybe
too much
with European
military
also, I
defense.
don't know. But with all the Europeans,
Doesn't work like
in
that.
media, officially and not, he always said that there is
And
no
I'm gonna get to why
such country,
wasting
such
military
nation,
defense
such
is
language,
hurting
and
us.
such life,
And
like Ukrainian.
it's not affecting
No,
Europe
he
as
really
much.
doesn't respect all the Ukrainians, and he wants to destroy us. And you are right, Mr. President. That's 2%. This document, maybe other documents, it's a very good start, very good, but it will not enough to stop this person.
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
Mr. President, under these
Should Russia pay to rebuild Ukraine?
They have to
raise
pay.
this question. He
This
doesn't
is the
like
rule.
because
This is the rule
because
of the
I-
war.
I'm
This is
sorry.
the rule of the war. During all the centuries, all the history, this is the rule of the war. Who began, those pay.
Do you agree
This
with
is the rule. Putin began this war. He has to pay all money for innovation. He has to pay. Of course.
And
some
that's what
Russian assets,
French
what we
Prime Minister
have,
said.
In Europe, about 300.
The French Prime
billion.
Minister
We can
was
use them.
keeping Trump in
We
his
can use for
place.
innovation
French
and buy
people,
military
they don't
support from the United States
they don't
also.
tolerate
We can do
disrespect.
it, but it's
They
not
don't.
enough. It's not enough.
Mr. President, under these circumstances, do you envision the trilateral summit with
Because I want
Putin
to
and
know-
President Zelensky?
Wait 1 second.
I asked this question that you didn't like because I wanted to know if you want to position yourself in the middle between Russia and
Yes.
Ukraine or on the Ukraine's.
No, I'm in the middle. I want to solve this thing. I'm for both. I want to get it solved. And it's wonderful to speak badly about somebody else, but I want to get it solved. If we can solve it, great. If we can't solve it, they're going to have to fight it out, and who knows what's going to happen. but I want to see it get solved.
May I follow up? One more question about U.S. troops in Europe. After Russian invasion of Ukraine, your predecessor sent additional troops to Eastern Europe, including Poland, my country.
Yeah.
Are you committed to keeping these troops on the eastern flank of NATO in the future?
I'm very committed to Poland. I think Poland has really stepped up and done a great job for NATO. They, as you know, they paid more than they had to. They are one of the finest groups of people I've ever known. I'm very committed to Poland.
I'm at the pause because this right here shows how selfish he is. He wants to play the middleman and still get paid, even though the U.S. has interest in Ukraine. I've always wondered what interest did we have in Ukraine. Come to find out, they had mentioned earlier, or Zelensky mentioned earlier, that U.S. already had businesses in Ukraine that whole time during Trump's term with the ceasefire. And as soon as they signed the ceasefire, Putin invaded because they did not like what NATO was saying or Biden was saying, which was Zelensky was looking at, hey, since you guys are helping me, why not pull me into NATO? Which makes perfect sense. Pull that man into NATO. Y'all helping him. Y'all, it's just regardless of the war outcome. We at war, but we're prolonging this, not pushing him back or pulling him in. And see, if you pull Ukraine into NATO, Putin will have to fight the rest of the world. And to be honest, he can't win, period. But he's using words because he knows NATO doesn't want to be the aggressor. So he's being the aggressor because he knows NATO don't want to pull that trigger. He can't pull the trigger because he's already not capable. He's shown himself not capable to ending this war with a win. So right there, he just said it. It doesn't
And
matter.
something that nobody in this room has ever even heard about. Two smaller nations, but big, still big. And I think I've stopped it. But this should have never happened.
Mr. President?
About sorry, just a second. About any negotiations. First of all, I want really to tell you, and I think that everybody understands that Ukraine, modern Ukrainians, nobody wants to stop this war. But at the future, any negotiations, it's understandable that two sides of the war, not Russia and the United States, because this is not the war between Russia and the United States. This is war of Russia against Ukraine and Ukrainian people. So these two sides will be at the will be at the negotiation table. Then of course United States, like the strongest partner of the Ukraine, and of course Europe. I think Europe is very important. I want to speak about it with the president. Yes, Europe is very important for us because we really defend Europe for today. All Europeans really recognize that we are defending the line and they have real life and our people are dying. That's why they helped us. And also it's about the NATO. Yes, between, like the president said, you have big, nice ocean. Yes. Between us, but if we will not stay, Russia will go further.
The Gulf of Mexico, which he wants to call Gulf America, which is a backstab to the Mexican country, because they were there first.
USSR, they've been one of the republics of the USSR, and Putin
I'm calling it
wants
the Gulf
to
of
bring
Mexico
them
because
back
when Trump
to
leaves
his
office, they're
empire.
going
It's
to
a
switch
fact.
the name
And
back.
when he will
In
go
fact,
there, if we will not stay, you will fight.
They only have it as Gulf of America only in our GPS. Everybody else sees it as Gulf of Mexico. Keep that in mind.
They are worried that you align yourself too much with Putin. What's your message for them?
Well, if I didn't align myself with both of them, you'd never have a deal. You want me to say really terrible things about Putin and then say, hi, Vladimir, how are we doing on the deal? That doesn't work that way. I'm not aligned with Putin. I'm not aligned with anybody. I'm aligned with the United States of America. And for the good of the world. I'm aligned with the world, and I want to get this thing over with. You see the hatred he's got for Putin. It's very tough for me to make a deal with that kind of hate. He's got tremendous hatred, and I understand that, but I can tell you the other side isn't exactly in love with, you know, him either. So it's not a question of alignment. I'm aligned with the world. I want to get the thing set. I'm aligned with Europe. I want to see if we can get this thing done. You want me to be tough? I could be tougher than any human being you've ever seen. I'd be so tough. But you're never going to get a deal that way. So that's the way it goes. All right, one more question.
I will respond to this. So look, for 4 years in the United States of America, we had a president who stood up at press conferences and talked tough about Vladimir Putin, and then Putin invaded Ukraine and destroyed a significant chunk of the country. The path to peace and the path to prosperity is maybe engaging in diplomacy. We tried the
diplomacy
pathway
don't
of
work.
Joe Biden
Look at the
of
Middle
thumping
East
our
again.
chest
As you
and
said earlier,
pretending that the
diplomacy is
president
an
of the United
epic failure in
States'
the Middle
words
East.
mattered more than
Talking
the
is a
president of the
failure.
United
That's why
States' actions.
Europe has been
What makes
trying to
America
put
a
boots
good
on the
country
ground.
is America engaging
They've
in
been
diplomacy.
in fact,
That's
they've
what
been
President Trump's
asking
doing.
Biden,
Sure.
can they put boots on the ground? And Biden said no.
He occupied
Poland wanted to give Ukraine airplanes.
Big parts
Biden
of
said
Ukraine,
no.
part of East and Crimea. So he occupied it on 2014. So during a lot of years, so I'm not speaking about just Biden, but those time was Obama, then President Obama, then President Trump, then President Biden, now the President Trump, and God bless, now President Trump will stop him. But during 2014, nobody stopped him. He just occupied and took. He killed people. You know what the contact line?
2015.
2014.
2014 and 2015.
2014?
Yeah. So
I was not here.
Yeah, but
That's exactly
but,
right.
Yeah,
Yes,
so
but
he
during
wasn't there.
2014 till
Bro,
2022,
come on, man.
yeah, the situation the same. The people have been dying on the contact line. Nobody stopped him. You know that we had conversations with him, a lot of conversation, my bilateral conversation, and we signed with him, me, like a new president. In 2019, I signed with him the deal. I signed with him, Macron and Merkel, we signed ceasefire. Ceasefire. All of them told me that he will never go. We signed with him with gas contract. Yes, but after that, he broken this ceasefire. He killed our people and he didn't exchange prisoners. We signed the exchange of prisoners, but he didn't do it. What kind of diplomacy, JD, you are speaking about?
Great point.
What do you mean?
I'm talking about the kind of diplomacy that's going to end the destruction of your country.
Yes, but if you
Mr.
are
President,
Ceasefires don't work. You just said it.
I think it's
That's all everybody
disrespectful
wants
for
to
you
use
come
is
into
for
the Oval
diplomacy.
Office and try to litigate
Ceasefires.
this in front of the American media. Right now, you guys are going around and forcing conscripts to the front lines because you have manpower problems. You should be thanking the president for trying to bring an end to this
Have you ever
conflict.
been to Ukraine that you say what problems we have?
I have been to.
Come once.
I've actually.
He can't even
watched
answer the
and
question.
seen the stories.
Bro.
And I know what happens is you bring people.
That's
you
the
bring
problem
them on a
with those
propaganda
two.
tour, Mr. President.
Trump and Vance.
Do you
They just
disagree
see the
that you've had
stories.
problems
Then they won't come to
bringing people into your
conclusions.
military?
Everybody.
And do you think that it's
I will
respectful
answer.
to come to the Oval Office
I
of the
will
United
answer.
States of America and attack the administration that is trying to prevent the destruction of your country?
A lot of questions. Let's start from the beginning.
Sure.
First of all, during the war, everybody has problems. Even you, but you have nice ocean and don't feel now, but you will feel it in the future. God
Yeah,
bless.
absolutely.
God
In
bless
fact,
you.
we
God
felt it
bless
in
you.
2020 with all the riots
Don't tell us
and
what we're gonna feel.
protests.
We're trying to solve
And
a
in
problem.
January
Don't tell
6th.
us what we're going to feel.
I'm not telling you.
Because
I'm
you're in no
answering on this
position to
question.
dictate that.
That's
Remember
exactly what
this.
you're doing.
I'm not
You're
dictating.
in no position to dictate what we're going to feel.
You
We're
will-
going to feel very
you will
good.
feel influenced.
We're going to feel very
I'm
good and
telling
very
you,
strong.
You will feel influenced.
You're right
We
now not in a
feeling
very
like
good
cost of
position.
living right now.
You've allowed
From the
yourself
We feeling
to be in a
cost of
very
living
bad
like,
position.
holy
This
hell.
happens to be
We ain't
right
feeling
about
too
the
good right now. I don't know what he's talking
You're
about.
not in a good
I
position.
was
You don't
in
have
a-
the cards right now. With us, you start having
not playing
cards.
cards.
But right now, you
I'm
don't.
very
Yeah, you're playing
serious,
cards.
Mr. President.
You're
I'm
playing
very
cards.
serious.
You're
I'm
gambling
the
with the
president
lives
in
of
war.
millions of people.
You think-
You're gambling with World War
you-
III.
what you
You're
speaking
gambling
about?
with
What you
World
speaking
War
about?
III. And
You-
what you're doing is very disrespectful to the country, this country. That's
with
back
all
to you.
respect to your
Far
country.
more than a lot of people said
very
they
respect.
should have.
Have you said thank you once? This
A
entire
lot.
Oh
meeting?
my God.
No, in
This
entire
this
meeting,
shit's
you said
ridiculous. This is
thank you.
petty.
You went to
Talk about
Pennsylvania and
DEI.
campaigned for the
This is some
opposition in
DEI
October.
talk.
Offer
Did you
some
say
words
thank
of
you?
appreciation
We-
for the United
we've been
States
in
of
World War
America
III
and the president who's trying to
since the
save
Middle East.
your country.
Honestly,
Please.
World
I
War
think
III
that
started when
if you will
Russia
speak
invaded
very loudly
Ukraine.
about the war, you
He's
can
not speaking loudly.
World
He's
War
not
III
speaking
started
loudly.
when
Your
Russia
country's in
formed
big
with
trouble.
Brazil and
No,
China
you've done a lot of
and
talking.
some of the other
Your
countries to
country is
form
in big
BRICS.
trouble.
I know.
You're not
I
winning.
know.
You're not
We
winning.
are already sliding in World
You
War
have a
III.
damn good
Period.
chance of
We are
coming out
staying,
okay because of
Mr.
us.
President, we are staying in our country, staying strong from the very beginning of the war. We've been alone, and we are thankful. I said thanks
You haven't
in
been
this
alone.
cabinet,
You
and
haven't
not
been
only
alone.
in this
We
cabinet.
gave you, through
I
this
said thank
stupid
you.
president, $350 billion.
You voted
We gave
for
you
your
military
Name
equipment,
calling, yo.
and
The
you
name
men are
call. I
brave, but
don't,
they
bro.
had to
I
use
can't
our military
imagine
What about
equipment.
Biden's
that?
If
wife
you didn't
right
have
now.
our
invited
military
me-
equipment,
you invited
if
me
you
to
didn't
speak.
have
I'm
our
pretty-
military
man.
equipment, this war would have been over in 2 weeks.
In 3
okay?
days, I heard
I
it
think
from
I saw a
Putin. In
headline.
3 days. This is something
Maybe
new.
Obama
less.
In 2 weeks,
spoke
of
out.
course, yes.
I'm gonna have
It's
to
going to be a
find
very
it.
hard thing to do business like this. I
Again,
tell you.
just say thank you.
Say
I
business.
said a lot of
Accept
times.
that there-
All he cares
accept
about is
that-
business. No
accept that there are
security guarantees,
disagreements,
just
and let's
business.
go
Everybody
litigate
just
those
heard it.
disagreements rather than trying
That's
to
all he
fight
cares
it out
about.
in the American media when you're wrong. We know that you're wrong.
But you see, I think it's good for the American people to see what's going on. over there.
Oh, see,
I think it's very important.
bro,
That's why
he
I
just
kept
set. This is
guy
a
so long.
setup. This boy got framed.
You have to
So
be thankful.
President Zelensky
You don't
just
have
got
the cards.
set up.
You're
This was
buried there.
framed.
Your people are dying.
tell you
You're
again,
running
I
low
know.
on soldiers.
Don't-
Listen,
don't, please,
you're running
Mr.
low on
President.
soldiers. It would be a damn good thing.
Mr.
And
President.
then you tell us, I don't want a ceasefire. I don't want a ceasefire. I want to go and I want this. Look. If you could get a ceasefire right now, I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop.
He hasn't
flying and your men
taken it.
stop getting
Of
killed.
course, I want to stop the war, but
You're
I
saying
said-
you don't want a
but I
ceasefire.
said to you,
I want a
with
ceasefire.
guarantees.
He's been
Because
to
you get a
negotiating
ceasefire faster
3
than
times
anybody.
now, and he
Ask
hasn't
people
taken no
about
ceasefire.
ceasefire,
So
what
what
they
is he
think.
talking about?
That wasn't
doesn't
with
matter
me.
for you what-
That
what
wasn't
is-
with
Yo.
me. That was
And-
with
and-
a
And then
guy named
Zelensky
Biden,
just
who was
said
not a
the
smart person.
ceasefire
That
last
was
time
with-
didn't
that
work.
was
Why
with
would he
Obama.
take another
It was
failure
Excuse me. That was with
ceasefire
Obama, who gave you
proposition?
sheets,
Like,
and I
this
gave you
man
javelins.
trips.
I gave you the javelins.
this
to
is
take
pure
out all those
gaslighting.
tanks. Obama gave you sheets. In fact, the statement is Obama
I was
gave
supposed to go.
sheets
In
and
fact,
Trump
no,
gave
Obama was trying to do
javelins.
more than that. I was supposed
You
to
gotta be
go
more thankful.
on a
Because let me tell
military
you,
tour
you don't
to
have the
Ukraine.
cards. With us, you have
And
the
I
cards.
think,
But without us, you don't have any cards.
I know Obama had to cancel it because I think it would have started a war.
It would be a tough deal to make.
We was going to go as
Because the attitudes
peacekeepers,
have to
but
change.
I think Putin threatened war if we had put boots on the ground, so Obama had to back out. That's what happened. So he had to give them other types of supplies.
What are you saying?
But Trump's not going to say that.
She's asking, what if Russia breaks the ceasefire?
What if anything? What if a bomb drops on your head right now? Okay? What if they broke it? I don't know. They broke it with Biden because Biden, they didn't respect him. They didn't respect Obama. They respect me. Let me tell you, Putin went through a hell of a lot with me. He went through a phony witch hunt where they used him and Russia. Russia. You ever hear of that deal? That was a phony.
Because he
that a
was
phony
being
Hunter
friends
Biden,
with
Joe
Putin
Biden
at that
scam.
time.
Hillary
He's back
Clinton,
doing it again.
Shifty Adam Schiff. It was a Democrat scam.
Everybody sees clearly
And he
now.
had to go through that. And he did go through it. We didn't end up in a war. And he went through it. He was accused of all that stuff. He had nothing to do with it. It came out of Hunter Biden's bathroom. It came out of Hunter Biden's bedroom. It was disgusting. And then they said,
fuck is he talking about?
the laptop from hell was made by Russia. 51 agents. The whole thing was a scam. And he had to put up with that. He was being accused of all that
Man,
stuff.
what the fuck?
All I can say is this. He might have broken deals with Obama and Bush, and he might have broken them with Biden. He did, maybe. Maybe he didn't. I don't know what happened. But he didn't break them with me. He wants
When he
to make
calls
a
him
deal. I don't know
stupid
if he
Biden.
can make a deal. The problem is, I've empowered you to be a
this
tough guy.
dude.
And
Oh my
I don't think you'd be a
God.
tough guy without
A
the
tough
United
guy.
States. And
I
your people are
empowered you
very
to be a
brave.
tough guy.
But you're either going to make a deal
Yo,
or
this
we're
is
out.
this is
And if we're
comedy.
out,
This
you'll
is
fight
gonna
it
be
out.
an SNL
I don't
skit.
think it's going to be pretty, but you'll fight it out.
I love the hand
You don't have
gestures.
the cards. Once we sign that deal, you're in a much better position. But you're not acting at all thankful. And that's not a nice thing. I'll be honest, that's not a nice thing. All right, I think we've seen enough. What do you think? Huh?
Yeah, this shit was a
This is going
setup
to be
though.
great television, I will say
See,
that.
this was set up.
All right, we'll see what we can do about putting it together.
Zelensky got framed, but he's trying to be respectful. He's trying to be honestly respectful. So he's got a supporter in the background. He's got a supporter in the background. Mark Rubio looking like, man. Mark Rubio actually looked like he lost. They look lost. Oh, there's CNN right there in the corner.
I can get everybody at the table and get an agreement. And I think we're going to end up with an agreement. Otherwise, I wouldn't probably be even here today.
Mr. President, I've got two questions for you. You think ultimately your legacy will be the peacemaker and not the president that led this country into another war and ended
Nah, his legacy is always an epic failure.
I hope it will. I mean, I hope I'm going to
Peacemaker, my ass.
be remembered as a peacemaker.
Nope.
This would be a great thing if we could do this.
You peacefully led yourself into an epic failure. That's going to be his legacy.
Save a lot of money, but I consider
Peacefully led himself to an epic failure.
I'm going to thank you, Brian, for that question. It was a nice question. I hope I'll be known.
I think he's gay. He's always telling men nice and lovely.
This would be a great thing to solve. This is a very dangerous situation. You know, this could lead to a third world war.
We've been in the third world war for 6 years.
If this election,
come on now, that's why they got bricks
we didn't
for
win
him.
this election, and we won it by a lot. That was a mandate. We won every swing state. We won the popular vote by millions and millions of votes. We won everything.
I'm tired of hearing that. Dude, he's still rambling about that.
Take a look at a map.
It's going on 3 months. He's still talking about it. Still talking about it.
One of the things I said, we're going to get this thing settled. If we didn't win, I think this could have very well ended up in a third world war, and that would not have been a good situation. What was your second question?
And my second question for President Zelensky. Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest,
Bruh.
Why don't you wear a suit? You're at the highest level in this country's
Why the
office.
fuck would you
refuse to wear a suit?
That man asking a fucking gay ass question. That's why I hate when men ask me, why you don't wear this? Why? Fuck out of here. What the fuck are you worried about what I'm wearing?
After this war will finish. Yes, maybe something like yours, yes. Maybe something better. I don't know. We will see. Maybe something cheaper.
Yo!
Thank you.
Yo! He lit him up.
You said yesterday.
Zelensky lit him up. Zelensky lit him up.
Yeah, we're going to have arms to Ukraine. Yeah, sure. Hopefully I won't have to say very much because hopefully we're going to have it
Zelensky
finished. We're looking forward to finishing this quickly. We're not looking.
Zelensky lit his ass up. Oh man. Wow. Maybe I'll wear a costume next time, something cheaper than yours. Yo, that heat, bro, that I love it. That was the best one. That was awesome. Maybe cheaper than yours. Man, that says a lot. When you waste money on the same type of clothing and you want to say mine's more expensive than yours, and they both look the same. And he's correct. Why are you spending thousands of dollars on a suit when you can get a suit for maybe a couple of hundred and you're gonna look exactly the same? And then this was war. This man is in wartime. In fact, I guarantee you, if he was parading around in a suit, they're gonna say some shit about that too. Oh, you're using our, our defense money to buy expensive suits. But like these. Oh my goodness. This is, man, I'm getting a headache from this. This is embarrassing. We are looking embarrassing. For decades, a lot of my foreign friends used to ask me, why are our government is so greedy and selfish? Why do we act so prideful? And this is a prime example. It's unreal. And I had to explain that's not all of us, and a lot of us don't agree with that. And they saw how I was over time, that I don't align myself with that type of thinking. I treat everybody the same as long as we get along and we, have, you know, compatible ideas and just being human beings. It's a shame we allow money to divide us. It's a damn shame. So, we're looking pretty bad. I mean, you should see these headlines. We're looking bad. We are definitely in an authoritarian. So I'm gonna have to say we're shift. If he was to stay in office for another 4 years, we would shift into a socialist authoritarian government system. And I say that because socialist countries try to create a community. As long as you socialize with the narrative and what the law is, they're going to take care of you. You know what I'm saying? They're going to try to take care of you. The Democratic Republican system was supposed to be the people had a voice. Socialism is, we'll take care of you, follow me, pretty much. And it has hints of communism where they will try to use the community ethics of communism to make sure everybody has equal the same. The problem with this system is what Trump is garnering is if you socialize with me and you follow me, I will take care of you. And that's why I say that. He's shifted the Democratic Republic Party into a whole new party. That's why this new group of Republicans coin themselves as MAGA. Yeah, it's like Make America Great Again, but now it's a MAGA movement or a cult. And they're going around doing the Sig Heil, that is reminiscent of what the Germans used to do, which I don't understand that. It's Sig Heiling, and I have clips of it. So they have their own salute now. They have their own following. They've changed the government policy with executive orders, which the past presidents was trying to avoid. And they just doing everything their own way, and then they're taking shots at the Democrats, which is another political. We're in a political war right now in our own soil. That's why this two-party system does not work. We have independents who just don't want to stand up to neither party at all. I don't understand that. They proclaim they're independent and they just sit back and watch. That makes no sense. So we're going to tear ourselves apart. It's going to be a boiling point, like what happened last time. But man, let's see. We have. Oh yeah, let's see what this is all about.
And my source tonight is the Secretary of State who is in that room today, Marco Rubio.
Well, she
Thank you
looks
so
like
much,
a
Secretary
dead,
Rubio, for being
like a
here.
dead possum
We just heard
sitting
from
next to him.
President Zelensky. He said he does not think that he owes President Trump an apology for what happened inside the Oval Office today. Do you feel otherwise?
I do, because you guys don't see. You guys only saw the end. You saw what happened today. You don't see all the things that led up to this.
Wait, what? Oh, whoa. We only saw the end. Huh? Yo, what? That's what I need to find a headline. I saw it this morning. It said that Zelensky was trying to put forth, what was the headline? It wasn't demands, but he was trying to bring forth guarantees before this negotiation talking and Minnow signing. I saw the headline. It was either by Weon or First Post, either the Indian News or something. I didn't get a chance to save it or click like. I don't think I clicked like on it. I don't think I did. But I do know before these talks, he was putting out there that he wanted guarantees or he's not signing. And that's why this ended up being a setup, because we all heard at the very end, despite what he said, Trump said, that's enough. This will be great for TV. So this was a setup. And I guarantee you, and I looked on X, but if you look on X, you're going to see them clipping Trump over talking Zelensky, Vance over talking Zelensky, because they want you to see that Zelensky looks like he disrespected Trump. That's the end that he's talking about, the disrespect. But honestly, we all saw the whole. In fact, yeah, the news broadcast showed the whole thing that needed to be shown. Zelensky was being very respectful and he was being very honest about the events of. He gave us a history lesson and everything. They didn't want to hear it. They did not want to hear it. Period.
So let me explain. The president's been very clear. He campaigned on this. He thinks this war should have never started. He believes, and I agree, that had he been president, it never would have happened. Now here we are. He's trying to bring an end to this conflict. We've explained very clearly what our plan is here, which is we want to get the Russians to a negotiating table. We want to explore whether peace is possible. They understand this. They also understand that this agreement that was supposed to be signed today was supposed to be an agreement that binds America economically to Ukraine, which to me, as I've explained, and I think the president alluded to today, is a security guarantee in its own way, because we're involved. It's now us. It's our interests. That was all explained. That was all understood. And nonetheless, for the last 10 days, in every engagement we've had with the Ukrainians, there's been complications in getting that point across, including the public statements that President Zelensky has made. But they insisted on coming to D.C. This agreement could have been signed 5 days ago, but they insisted on coming to Washington, and there was and should have been a very clear understanding. Don't come here and create a such scenario where you're going to start lecturing us about how diplomacy isn't going to work.
Don't come here and lecturing us how diplomacy is not going to work. We just heard Zelensky explain why ceasefires do not work. We have seen how ceasefires do not work in the Middle East, and that was brought up. The only reason why Trump can get Putin to not attack is because he's going to make concessions with Putin. He's going to agree. It's like Putin can say, look, I don't want this to happen, this to happen, this to happen, this to happen. Trump's gonna be like, okay, cool. I want this, this, and this for that concession. Putin's gonna be like, all right, cool. Bam. It turns into a business transaction with your enemy. So it's like Trump is making an enemy of his enemy his friend. But I mean, even if Putin's not an enemy, it's just like, yo, we like, I don't know. It just this. The way that was a staged setup to frame Zelensky as disrespectful, we all needed to hear the diplomacy failure that the United States keep pushing with Trump's business dealings to pacify his so-called friends until he's out of office. Ceasefires do not work. That's why we still go to war. And I guarantee this Gaza thing is going to be a shit show. And they already have headlines talking about Israel's about to attack or whatever. And we may not be seeing it, but they're showing it on Indian news. In fact, people need to pay attention to what the other news is broadcasting around the world if you want to even pay attention. If you want to pay attention.
President Zelensky took it in that direction, and it ended in a predictable outcome as a result. It's unfortunate.
Predictable outcome. Oh my God. See, they were waiting for this shit. They were waiting for him to fail. They were waiting. They already knew he. In fact, they probably already knew he was not coming to sign the deal. In fact, Zelensky probably told him, "I want security guarantees, or I'm not signing." Trump said what he's had to say about, "Nah, I just want the deal signed. Our presence as business people will be enough. And Zelensky said, that's not enough. And so they staged him. They set him up. They set him up. That's why this headlines, the mineral deal is canceled or is off the table. Because Zelensky said, I want security guarantees. Trump don't want to put boots on the ground. He said that from day one. He don't want troops on the ground. He wants Europe to do it. So my thing is this. As a military veteran, if you want Europe to put boots on the ground, you might as well allow Ukraine to go into NATO, period. Because putting boots on the ground, as peacekeepers or not, is still an act of war in Russian eyes. That's why I realize why Obama canceled the peacekeeper training op that we was offered to go in and train Ukraine troops. To Putin, it looked like an act of war. With Europe going in with troops on the ground, to him, it's an act of war. So, that it's
wasn't supposed to be this way,
a
but
fucking
that's the
shit
path
show
he
right
chose.
now.
And I think, frankly, sends his country backwards in regards to achieving peace.
And Trump just over exaggerate what he can get done. Like, you can't be optimistic in everything. You just can't.
Apologize for sends his country backwards in regards to achieving peace, which is what President Trump wants at the end of the day, is for this war to end. He's been as consistent as anyone can be about what his objective is here.
But what specifically do you want to see President Zelensky apologize for?
Well, apologize for turning this thing into the fiasco for him that it became. There was no need for him to go in there and become antagonistic. Look, this thing went off the rails. You were there, I believe.
Antagonistic? Dude, Zelensky did not one time antagonize the vice president or the president. He was being straightforward and honest and historical. He even put a timestamp. He had receipts. Trump didn't even, bro. In fact, Zelensky said 2014. That's about right because, yeah, I was signing a contract to go into Ukraine in a tour around 2014. Zelensky is absolutely correct. Trump was like, no, 2015. Nah, man. Obama was preparing to leave. Trump was running for president in 2015. Obama was he was preparing the end of his term. There was really not much for Obama to do anyway between 2014 and 15. It wasn't much he could do. So in a sense, the move to put us over there was an act of war. And then Obama had to make a decision to back out because his term was coming to an end. There's a lot that they're not telling you. There really isn't. But yeah, I was supposed to go into that tour in Ukraine, and it was going to be a peacekeeping mission to train the Ukrainian soldiers and police to defend their country. And they canceled it. So, it's just, you're hearing it from me. You're hearing it from me.
It went off the rails when he said, let me ask you a question to the vice president. What kind of diplomacy are you talking about? Well, this is a serious thing. I mean, thousands of people have been killed, thousands. And he talks about all these horrible things that have happened to prisoners of war and children, all true, all bad. This is what we're dealing with here. It needs to come to an end. We are trying to bring it to an end. The way you bring it to an end is you get Russia to the table to talk. And he understands that attacking Putin, no matter how anyone may feel about him personally, forcing the president into a position where you're trying to goad him into attacking Putin, calling him names, maximalist demands about Russia having to pay for the reconstruction, all the sorts of things that you talk about in a negotiation. Well, when you start talking about that aggressively, and the president's a deal maker, he's made deals his entire life, you're not going to get people to the table. And so you start to perceive that maybe Zelensky doesn't want a peace deal. He says he does, but maybe he doesn't. And that active open undermining of efforts to bring about peace is deeply frustrating for everyone who's been involved in communications with them leading up to today. And I think he should apologize for wasting our time for a meeting that was going to end the way it did.
You
You now he wants Zelensky to apologize. First, they wanted him to say thank you in that argument. That's like telling a man, kiss my feet, kiss my boots, kiss my hand, and take this deal. That's what kings like. Whenever you used to have to go to invitation, you had to accept the offer what the king was presenting you after you accepted the deal by kissing the king's hand or the ring. Because you was invited, and kissing the king is you acknowledging the king and you accepting whatever offer he's going to give you. If you didn't kiss the king's hand, that was you were never allowed back into the court, and that meant imminent war. So they wanted him to say thank you. So in a way that, yeah, I appreciate what you do. I'm gonna go ahead and sign this deal. That's what it ended up in. Thank you for presenting this, and I'm gonna sign a deal now because I appreciate what you're trying to do for me. No, damn that. No, damn that. That man been saying thank you for like 6 years. That's why everybody continues to, if everybody didn't know Zelensky was unappreciative, this would have been a day. If Europe and everybody else felt like Zelensky was unappreciative, they would have never gave him money. Period. Period. This would have been the day they would have known Zelensky was not appreciative. And it showed that he was appreciative, but he was very respectful. He kept his voice calm. He answered the questions, and he told the truth. He had zero narrative. Trump had a narrative. Vance had a narrative, which Vance couldn't even answer the question. He stepped foot in Ukraine. He had never been in Ukraine. He said, well, I've seen the stories. That's not what is that? Stories are people's opinions. Man, get the fuck out of here. I've seen the stories. Man, dude, that's the weakest thing a vice president could say. He is weak. Putin's poodle. And Vance is the little lapdog chihuahua. You got a poodle and chihuahua. Vance think he got a lot of bite and bark. He is trash. Total dumpster fire.
yourself have said previously that Putin cannot be trusted in negotiations. That was the point that President Zelensky was ultimately making during that conversation, is that there cannot be an agreement without security guarantees, because he was talking about all the ceasefire agreements before, or agreements that Putin has just blown past.
Yes.
Do you still feel that way, that Putin cannot be trusted in these negotiations?
Well, I was there yesterday when the president said in front of the media that our approach is going to be trust but verify. President Trump's made
trust but verify. See, the problem is Trump is trying to verify that he can make a deal before he puts in trust. He's making everybody verify he can make a deal. He's the best deal maker. He can verify like Putin's going to make a deal. Putin's is not going to continue this war. That's what he's verifying, regardless of what trust factors is involved. Zelensky is trying to say, I do not trust this man. Historically, we cannot trust this man. I am trying to put trust in you and America. And Trump is destroying that trust. Europe has already pointed that out professionally. Europe is already losing trust in America because of Trump. Well, actually, he's losing trust in Trump, because they at the end of the day, they're going to have to wait this out 4 years. That's why everybody's just dancing around Trump right now, playing chess or check. Well, right now, we've shifted from playing chess to checkers. Checkers is a very fast-paced version of chess. We have shifted from chess in its first 4 years to a game of checkers. We're just moving around, and he's the crown king, just zigzagging across the board right now, since he wants to be a king. Because that's all he wants to get it done very quickly, very quickly. I can get it done very quickly. The hand gestures, yo.
deals his entire life. He's not going to get suckered into some deal that's not a real deal. We all understand this. We understand it on our end for certain. And so the goal here is to get to a place we have to explore whether peace is possible. I've said this repeatedly. I don't know. I think it is, based on what they've said so far, but we have to explore that. How else is this war going to end? I ask people, what is the European plan to end this war? I can tell you what one foreign minister told me, and I'm not going to say who it was, but I can tell you what one of them told me, and that is that the war goes on for another year, and at that point, Russia will feel so weakened that they'll beg for a peace. That's another year.
Honestly, that's realistic. That's how wars end. That's how the Iraqi war ended. Iraq got exhausted. They got bombed to death. Pakistan, and, and Afghanistan, they got exhausted. The European wars, Germany got burnt out. They got exhausted. That's how wars end. He's being honest. The Middle East, the only reason why the Middle East is continuing is because they get exhausted and then they have a ceasefire. And guess what happens during a ceasefire? Depending on how long, they rebuild their stockpiles during a ceasefire. That's why that's been going on. If they cut this ceasefire bullshit out, I guarantee you, like, for instance, Israel will get worn out. But we keep supplying Israel with weapons and foreign aid. So that's the reason why that's still going. But yeah, that prime minister is absolutely correct. And Putin is wearing thin. But see, what they're not saying is China and Korea are supplying him with money and weapons too. They're not bringing that up entirely. They brought it up during Biden's term. And yes, Putin should pay for this bullshit. He started it. He should pay for it or help get the country built. It is what it is. Europe has vowed to help rebuild the country. They're going to try to take his assets and use that, which makes sense. That's why Trump needs to shut the hell up with that bullshit. Like, oh, they owe us. They owe us. They owe us. Man, like, yo.
Year of killing, another year of dying, another year of destruction. And by the way, not a very realistic plan in my point of view. So if there's a chance of peace, even if it's a 1% chance, that needs to be explored. And that's what President Trump is trying to do here.
Y'all just blew a 1% chance for peace. Y'all just blew it.
President Trump said just when he was leaving the White House after that meeting that he doesn't think President Zelensky wants peace. But isn't that why the Ukrainian leader was in the Oval Office for that meeting today?
Well, he was in the Oval Office to sign a minerals rights deal. That's what he was in the Oval Office to sign today. But again, when you have comments that deliberately appear to be after having discussed this repeatedly, deliberately appear to be geared towards making the argument that peace is not possible. Again, I turn to the Vice President.
Trump's got
what
no
kind of diplomacy are you
intentions
talking about?
of a
Almost as if
security
to say,
guarantee.
these people, you can't deal with them. You can't have
expose
any
the whole thing.
negotiations with Putin because he can't be trusted, and you're just wasting your time on negotiations. Well, he's directly, basically undermining everything the president has told them he's trying to do. Look, there's no need for that. You start to suspect, does he really want an end to this war? Does he just think that, we have to do whatever he says and give him anything he wants without any end game? That was the Biden strategy. That was the Biden strategy. We were funding a stalemate. We were funding a meat grinder. And unfortunately, for the Ukrainians, the Russians have more meat to grind, and they don't care about human life. We've seen it, human waves, the North Koreans, etc.
He just added to what Zelensky said. He just exposed themselves. Zelensky just said Putin does not care if Americans are in Ukraine doing business. They're going to plow through. You just heard it out of the fucking horse's mouth. He looks like Donkey from Shrek. Yeah. He looks like Donkey from Shrek. Mark Rubio just said it. Let's play it again. Let's play that shit back. There we go. Watch. Check this out. I'm going to play it again.
Meat grinder. And unfortunately, for the Ukrainians,
I thought I pulled it back. Let's go back.
Give him anything he wants without any end game. That was the Biden strategy. That was the Biden strategy. We were funding a stalemate. We were funding a meat grinder.
In fact, let's go even further back. This is the only reason why Trump can keep Putin at his bay. I love captions because you can see what they're actually saying.
Start to suspect, does he really want an end to this war? Does he just think that, you know, we have to do whatever he says and give him anything he wants without any end game? That was the...
See, Trump wants, you do for me, I'll do for you. Biden wasn't playing that. And that's not being fair when people are in dire straits. And it's not even, it's like America has lost the concept of sharing. That's why the French Prime Minister said, and cut Trump off, all our aid wasn't a big loan. The UK Prime Minister said the same thing. All of our aid wasn't a loan. Most of it was a grant. Like, these countries are trying to share, trying to help this man out. That's why they're starting to look at, yeah, pull this man into NATO. What Trump wants this to be, if I do for you, then the end game is you do for me. And that's how he's got Putin at bay, because he's giving Putin something while Putin gives him something. That's the end game. It's selfishness, like real talk. I personally, when I help somebody, I don't ask for nothing in return, because you don't have it. You don't have it. If I got it, I'm gonna give it to you with no strings attached, no end game.
Biden strategy. That was the Biden strategy. We were funding a stalemate. We were funding a meat grinder. And unfortunately, for the Ukrainians, the Russians have more meat to grind, and they don't care about human life. We've seen it, human waves, the North Koreans, etc. And so this is a very complex thing. It's very delicate. It's very costly. It's very bloody. It needs to be brought to an end.
War is costly, period. War is America used to brag about, they used to make money off of wars. That ended after World War II. Every time we go to war, it costs us economically. We have not made money off of war at all. In fact, our cost of living has gone up every war we have. Everybody can look that up. You can look it up. Everybody can look it up. The Gulf War costed us economically. Costed us economically.
But it isn't going to be brought to an end with public pronouncements and maximalist demands in the public, but in real diplomacy.
You said maximalist demands in the public. Yo, y'all set that shit up to be a public, display and spectacle and debacle. They set that shit up. Now they pointing it at him. Now they blaming him for it. You see how that shit is going? They're making him the scapegoat of Trump's failure. Because Trump said, not Zelensky, Trump said he can end this in 24 hours, in a few days, in a few weeks, in 2 weeks. It's going on a month. And look what, dude, you're trash. All of y'all trash. You're making the Republican Party look like trash. In fact, I don't know what, man, no. You got a Republican Party called the Lincoln Project now. They're back. I saw one of their videos popped up on my stream yesterday. Now they're back. The Republican Party is horribly split down the middle. Horribly split down the middle. We actually have 4 parties: Democratic, Independent, Republican, GOP, and MAGA. That's just what it is.
The vice president was right.
When you say they don't care about life, are you talking about the Russians or the Ukrainians?
Well, the Russians, I mean, they're conscripting by the hundreds of thousands. They brought in North Korean troops that were slaughtered in Kursk, and they keep going because they got more people. That's the other fact. Look, and it's, again, we go back to the same point. I'm not going to fall into this trap of the who's bad and who's evil. People can make those conclusions. People have seen how this narrative has played out and where we are today and how this all started and so forth. The point now is it has to end. And the way it ends is you get people to a negotiating table, and the president, who's the ultimate deal maker, knows you don't get people to a negotiating table when you're calling them names and you're accusing them of things, because at the end of the day, this is...
See, here's the fucking problem I have with this shit. Trump is he is the protagonist of calling people's names. He even called Biden stupid at the negotiating table. Trump has called people names from day one. And yet, you want to say Zelensky is calling people's names? Like, yo, this is crazy. But they've always said the guilty one always speaks. And this is insanity. I don't know how much longer the world's gonna have patience with this bullshit. This is round two, and I called this out. I said before Trump got elected, Europe is not going to tolerate Trump's bullshit. They're on thin ice with the tolerance. They on thin ice right now. They are trying so hard not to lash out. And I already said they're not going to tolerate. They man.
It's not a political campaign, okay? This is high-stakes international diplomacy and an effort to bring about an end to a very, very dangerous war.
But you yourself, sir, have said before that you believe Putin is a war criminal, that is a widely accepted fact. You've called him a butcher. And you've said that as a Secretary of State, you do believe it's important for someone with such global influence as you have to speak with that kind of moral clarity.
Yeah, and at this moment, as Secretary of State, my job working for the president is to deliver peace, to end this conflict and end this war. Ultimately, that is the job of the State Department. The State Department doesn't fight wars, it ends them. It tries to end them. And that's usually, by the way, celebrated. I mean, throughout history, I've watched presidents that bring about an end to wars and conflicts, and people celebrate that.
Yo, he didn't even answer the question. And I'm gonna tell you why. Because they're failing. And number two, and I clipped this. Trump pulled out of the World Security Organization. I think they were called. Let me see here. All right. I had clipped what actually happened. America's exposed government for gaslighting. Michael Jackson warned us U.S. government and tech companies don't care about us. Yo, man, they don't. Let's see here. Truth behind American government financial inequality. Zelensky has said willing to quit as Ukraine president. Let's see here. Where is it? Trump sends message to. It might be in my shorts, actually. Ukraine soldiers called Trump a bastard. That was hilarious. That was hilarious. Trump declares himself king. Ah, here it is. Here it is.
And we are not saying ignore crimes in Africa, but focus on Western crimes as well. Look at what the ICC did to the United Kingdom. They found evidence that British troops committed war crimes in Iraq. The UK is also a member of the ICC, so the court did have jurisdiction on them. Yet the case was dropped. Same with Australia. Their soldiers were found guilty of war crimes in Afghanistan. Their commanders were stripped of their medals. Yet the International Criminal Court did not probe them. If this isn't a double standard, what is? So Trump is right in saying that the ICC is broken. But America is not the victim here. They have in fact benefited from the ICC's bias. If not, most of the living US presidents would be in jail. And we are not saying ignore crimes in Africa, but focus on Western.
So, I think it was the ICP. Yeah, international crimes. Yeah, okay. the ICC. So the headline on first post was Trump pulls out of the ICC. And the reason behind that was originally Israel's prime minister, Benjamin, was being investigated for war crimes. Putin was being investigated for war crimes. And to put a stop to that, Trump put sanctions on him, or he pulled out something to that effect to avoid those two prime ministers from being invested for war crimes. Now, he is talking about trying to end wars and conflicts, and yet he's failing. He's failing. So he doesn't want to answer the question, if Putin is a war criminal, shouldn't we react? Because he was being investigated. And now that Trump is not allowing the ICC to continue investigation, they're going to dodge the question.
I mean, throughout history, I've watched presidents that bring about an end to wars and conflicts, and people celebrate that. They applaud it. I think we should be very proud and happy that we have a president whose prime objective is not to get into wars, but to prevent wars and to get out of wars. That is a very noble, laudable goal. Everyone should be applauding it, and he should be given the space to do that, not undermined by demands that he call Putin names, or that we say things that impede the ability to conduct real diplomacy, as the vice president said today.
To follow up on what you just said a moment ago, are you saying that you have doubts that President Zelensky wants this war to come to an end?
What I have doubts about is whether he's willing to say and do the things that we need in order to get a negotiation. Again, you guys, this has been going on for 10 days, and
he wants them, the whole Ukrainian cabinet, to do what the Americans say. That's all it really is. It's basically supply and demand. Trump wants Ukraine to supply what he wants as money back, payback, and he wants the Ukrainians to accept the demands. That's fucked up.
To see things in the press saying we're not coordinating with the Ukrainians, that's absolutely false. Over the last 10 days,
they're
the
not
Ukrainians have
coordinating.
met
They're
with
not even
the Secretary
listening.
of Commerce,
That's the problem.
the
They're not
Secretary
even
of State,
listening.
the Vice President of the United States.
They want Zelensky to listen
and
take the
and he was in
demands
the Oval
and be
Office
pushed
today.
around.
I've talked to the Foreign Minister of Ukraine 3 times
Pitiful
in the last
negotiations.
10 days. The argument that we're not engaging, but yet you keep reading these press accounts about, oh, well, they're leaving us out, we're not involved, we're not engaged. None of these things are true, and it continues. So all that led up to today in a deep sense of frustration.
And that's true. Their first meeting in Saudi Arabia, Trump and his team didn't even allow Zelensky to show up. That's where it all kicked off. That's where it started. They talked with Putin first, like Putin was the one or the victim at hand right now. That's wrong. That's wrong. They talked with Russia first, and that's the problem. They're making Ukraine the last man standing, man. This is going to be a very interesting 4 years. I don't know.
And my hope is that this all can be reset and maturity can kick in and some pragmatism, because this war tonight, people will die in Ukraine. Tonight, people will die in this conflict. We're trying to bring an end to this conflict.
Dude, people been dying ever since this started.
It's an
what is he talking about?
bloody war that has to come to an end. And right now, the
While
only
they were
leader
negotiating
in the
for the
world
last
that
3
can
weeks,
even have a chance
Russia's been bombing the shit out of the major cities.
President Donald Trump. And we need to give him the opportunity to try and do that. And when you see efforts to impede it, when you tell someone, don't say, let's not talk about these things, let's not go in this direction, because it makes it harder for us to engage, and they insist on doing it anyways, you start to wonder.
Because he's trying to be honest.
Motives, but you start to wonder what's behind
running
it.
the same path of again, this does not work.
I can ask you, Secretary Rubio,
but I'm not sure after today.
You don't believe that this can be, you're not sure that this can be salvaged? I mean, can this relationship between Zelensky and Trump be repaired in your view?
I think anything is
It
possible, but it
never
has
was
to go back to the
repairable in the
point
first
that
place.
President Trump is interested in being involved in this for the purposes of bringing about an enduring and lasting peace. That's what he wants to achieve. And I think if I'm a country, okay, that's involved in a war with a bigger country, who's losing thousands of people, who's had 3 million people leave my country because they can't be there, who is facing these challenges, I would be thanking a president who's trying to help bring about an end to this war. I would be thanking him, and I would be supportive of what he's trying to do, at least in my public pronouncements and in my public posture. And we didn't see that today.
There you go, the ring
For the
kissing
last few
bullshit.
days.
The ring.
Now, will that change? I hope so.
Yes.
It should.
Man, fuck out of here, bro.
For the purposes of
Fuck out
global
of here,
peace
donkey.
and stability in Europe and around the world.
Shrek looking ass. Man, bruh, Shrek looking ass. So, the Republicans following Trump, still gonna push that narrative. Oh shit, what did I just close? So I can't even tell. I thought I was on that and it closed something else. But anyway, so you have this conversation would change the world. It definitely changed the world. It definitely changed the world. Like this shit is embarrassing. Oh, here we go. French. Let's open this up.
All right. Following
French
the verbal
President
spat between US
Macron
President
calls
Donald
Ukraine
Trump
a
and Ukrainian
victim.
President
See,
Vladimir Zelensky
someone
at the
still
Oval Office
has
in Washington,
passion.
world leaders reacted to the war of words between Trump and Zelensky. Democrats in the U.S. Senate accused President Donald Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance of siding with Russian President Vladimir Putin. They also condemned Trump and Vance of doing Putin's dirty work in a post on social media platform X. French President Emmanuel Macron backed Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky following the latter's tense meeting. Macron called Russia an aggressor and Ukraine a victim.
I think we all know the situation. There's an aggressor, which is Russia, and a people attacked, which is Ukraine. I think we all were right to have helped Ukraine and sanctioned Russia 3 years ago, and to continue to do so. And when I say we, I mean the United States, Europeans, Canadians, Japanese, and others.
And see, you have to, unfortunately, you have two options: drain them dry of their resources or attack. Russia is suffering. That's why they can't win this. So what's happening is Korea and China is loaning Russia what they need also. And they had stated in the first year or two with the sanctions that Russia had to sell a lot of their resources to fund the war also. But how it was getting more and more stronger is they're getting supplies from North Korea and China and other countries. That's how they fund. The same thing Ukraine's getting. So, the whole thing is a costly situation. Russia don't have money for this shit. Otherwise, they would have been able to win this.
Backing Macron's comments, Germany's Conservative Party leader Friedrich Merz assured his support to Ukraine. In a post on social media platform X, Merz said that the aggressor and the victim must not be confused in this terrible war. Germany's foreign minister too said that Europe and its allies are standing united alongside Ukraine in its war against Russia. In addition to this, Poland also voiced its support for Ukraine. Polish Prime Minister Donald
Poland
Tusk
been
took to a
head
social media
in.
platform
They've been head into
account
this.
X, saying that
They've been
Ukraine
funding
is
this
not
more than
alone.
most of the countries,
The
but
European
still.
Union also assured its unwavering support to Ukraine. In a joint statement, EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen urged Ukraine to be strong and fearless. She also addressed President Zelensky, saying that he's not alone. Further, the EU has also questioned Trump's leadership while adding that the world needs a new leader.
Oh,
Meanwhile,
what? Yo. Oh, wow. Wow. Let's say that again. Wow.
New leader.
Yo, that is damn.
support to Ukraine. In a joint statement, EU Chief Ursula von der Leyen urged Ukraine to be strong and fearless. She also addressed President Zelensky, saying that he's not alone. Further, the EU has also questioned Trump's leadership while adding that the world needs a new leader.
Yo, damn. And that's coming from a woman. And he doesn't respect women that well unless they follow him. Bruh, she is brave. She is brave, man. Enough said. Enough said. Yo, that. So we have another one. What Caitlin Collins saw. We just saw her with him. You're going to look at that later. How corrupt are American politicians? See? This is, see? We're about to be exposed. We're about to be, and this is coming from the world. This is what the world sees. We don't hear this. We're told one thing. Ladies and gentlemen, World Indian News. Here's another headline. Trump claims EU formed to screw us. Threatens 25% tariff. That, bro, that's fucking selfish. That is selfish. This man just, oh man. And we gotta sit under this type of dictate. We're under a dictatorship. If this is mind-boggling, because the very thing he claims against countries, the very thing America has claimed were dictators, this man is purely a dictator. Purely. There's another one. Trump says, I trust Putin on Ukraine deal after meeting Starmer. There you have it. There you have it. Oh, this is rich right here.
You could get a ceasefire right now. I tell you, you take it so the bullets stop flying and your men stop getting killed.
Of course, we want to stop the war.
But you're saying you don't want a ceasefire?
But I said to you,
I want a ceasefire.
with guarantees.
Because you get a ceasefire faster than an agreement.
Ask our people about ceasefire, what they think.
That wasn't with me.
For you what
that wasn't with me. That was with a guy named Biden who was not a smart person. That was your
president. It was your president.
Excuse me. That was with Obama, who gave you sheets, and I gave you javelins. You could get a ceasefire right.
That's going viral right now.
You could get a ceasefire right now.
That's how the foreign people feel about Americans and their selfishness and their self-righteous attitude. That's how they feel, respectfully. Now there was a headline. Let's see. Obama actually had a headline. Let's see where we can find that at. Okay. Let's see what we got here.
I'm joined now by the co-host of Pod Save America and Pod Save the World, Tommy Vitor. Tommy, thanks for joining me.
Brian, what a day. Good to see you, buddy.
What a day. You too. Okay, so we've obviously just witnessed a complete disaster in the Oval Office between Trump, J.D. Vance.
For YouTube, for the foreign leader, they're back still.
Let's skip to this. Let's get to the point. Oh my God, let's see what we got here.
President ever has had the courage to do before. Thank you for putting America first. America is with you. I mean, like, talk about.
See, they're pushing and promoting Trump's epic failure like it was a successful business deal. What they're not really showing. Okay, did they just clickbait us? I might have to listen to the whole thing. I might have to just.
I'm joined now by the co-host of Pod Save America and Pod Save the World, Tommy Vitor. Tommy, thanks for joining me.
Brian, what a day. Good to see you, buddy.
What a day. You too. Okay, so we've obviously just witnessed a complete disaster in the Oval Office between Trump, J.D. Vance, and Zelensky, which culminated into Zelensky effectively being thrown out of the White House. And of course, peace talks are out the window at this point. So for the immediate future right now, as far as Ukraine is concerned and its efforts to cast aside this Russian onslaught, what does this mean for Ukraine?
Yeah, I mean, Vladimir Putin's having a good day. Ben Rhodes and I just recorded an episode for YouTube, for the Pod Save the World YouTube, and we were debating whether this was the worst meeting we've ever seen or heard of in, like, American history. I mean, there have probably been some awful conversations that happened in the Oval Office behind closed doors, but I can never remember the President of the United States and a foreign leader going at it like this in front of the cameras. It was just a disaster for Zelensky and a disaster for the people of Ukraine. So the U.S. and Ukraine were supposed to sign some sort of agreement today about working together to get rare earth minerals out of Ukraine. That's obviously off the table. But the bigger picture goal for Zelensky in this visit, where he knows how to get them back.
Was there any world in which this didn't end this way? And I ask that because
for the cameras and for a domestic political audience. J.D. Vance kind of gave up the game. I don't know if you noticed when he started complaining about Zelensky going to Pennsylvania in October, and he accused him of making a forth with J.D. Vance, challenging Vance, and spinning up Trump like that. Like, we know how Donald Trump is. He's a bully. He demands that you bow down before him and kiss the
world where
oh yeah,
wait,
yeah. Let's hear it. I just said it. Bow down, kiss the hand, kiss the Let's drop the speed down some. Let's actually hear it. Let's hear it.
And spinning up Trump like that. Like, we know how Donald Trump is. He's a bully. He demands that you bow down before him and kiss the ring. And Zelensky just wasn't in the mood to do it.
Tommy, are we in a world where...
I just said that. See, that's what a thank you narrative was spinning into. Kiss the ring. Say thank you. But I guess they clickbait us with the Obama official. I don't know what they're talking about. Here's something else. World leaders combined to issue shocking. Let's see what this is talking about.
In the immediate aftermath of Trump's infantile, disgusting, and overtly anti-American meltdown in the Oval Office with Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky, two things have happened. The first is that the U.S. has aligned itself with the autocracies of the world. Trump planted himself firmly alongside Vladimir Putin, Erdogan, Xi, Kim Jong-un, and any other strongman presiding over other countries are now sampling of what I mean. World leaders took to Twitter, including the President of the European Council, Dear Zelensky, Dear Ukrainian friends, you are not alone. The Foreign Minister of Germany, Ukraine is not alone. Germany, together with our European allies, stands united alongside Ukraine and against the Russian aggression. Ukraine can build on unwavering support from Germany, Europe, and beyond. Their defense of democracy and their quest for peace and security is ours. The Prime Minister of the Czech Republic, we stand with Ukraine and on the side of the free world. The President of Slovakia, we stand with Ukraine more than ever. Time for Europe to stay united.
We are
the President of
looking more and
Slovenia,
more
Slovenia upholds
like
the principles and respect of international law and international relations. What we witnessed in the Oval Office today undermines these values and the foundations of diplomacy. We stand firmly in support of Ukraine's sovereignty. We repeat, Russia is the aggressor. The Foreign Minister of Austria, stand with Ukraine. The Prime Minister of Spain, Ukraine,
we
Spain
may not
stands
be in
with
NATO.
you. The Prime Minister of Sweden,
I don't know.
Sweden stands with Ukraine. You are not only
But
fighting for your
we
freedom,
got
but
4
also
years
for all
to
of
wait
Europe.
this out.
Slava Ukraine.
4 years.
The ambassador of the Netherlands to Ukraine. I just spoke to my Ukrainian friend and colleague. I reiterated my full support to Ukraine, whatever it takes, for as long as it takes. The President of Lithuania, Ukraine, you will never walk alone. The Prime Minister of Latvia, Latvia stands with Ukraine. The President of Latvia, Ukraine is a victim of the Russian aggression. It fights the war with the help from many friends and partners and has become a symbol for not just freedom and sovereignty, but for making the art of the impossible in difficult circumstances. The Foreign Minister of Finland, Finland stands with the people and the people's choices. No Ukraine, no peace. People have chosen freedom. We stand with Ukraine. The Prime Minister of Portugal, Ukraine can always count on Portugal, Zelensky. The Prime Minister of Croatia, Croatia knows from its own experience that only a just peace can be a lasting peace. The Croatian government has supported the belief that Ukraine needs such a peace, one that means sovereignty, territorial integrity, and a future in free Europe. The Foreign Minister of Estonia, I just had a call with my friend and colleague where I reassured Estonia's support to Ukraine, whatever it takes. The Prime Minister of Canada, Russia's illegally and unjustifiably invaded Ukraine. For 3 years now, Ukrainians have fought with courage and resilience. Their fight for democracy, freedom, and sovereignty is a fight that will matter to us all. Canada will continue to stand with Ukraine and Ukrainians in achieving a just and lasting peace. The President of Moldova, the truth is simple. Russia invaded Ukraine. Russia is the aggressor. Ukraine defends its freedom and ours. We stand with Ukraine. The Prime Minister of Norway, we stand by Ukraine in their fair struggle for a just and lasting peace. The Prime Minister of Iceland, Iceland stands with Ukraine. You are not alone. We wholeheartedly support Ukraine in their quest for just and lasting peace against the unprovoked and unlawful Russian aggression. The Mayor of Antwerp in Belgium, we stand behind Ukraine and the Ukrainian people in their historic fight to defend themselves against an unprovoked Russian aggression. Their fight is our fight. United we are strong. The Prime Minister of Luxembourg, Luxembourg stands with Ukraine. You are fighting for your freedom and a rules-based international order. and on and on. First of all,
The EU is now braced for similar
Here we go.
tariffs coming its way, particularly after
I'm
Trump
glad.
called the EU, quote,
I'm
an
glad that people
atrocity.
have time to
To the
look all that
United
stuff
States,
up.
where
But
Donald Trump has threatened to impose 25% tariffs on imports from the European Union.
U.S. President Donald Trump has said that his administration will soon announce
so
a 25%
we still
tariff on imports
fighting
from
over
the
the
European
economy.
Union.
That's World War
Donald
III.
Trump's maneuvers
Economic
regarding his
war.
decision to impose new tariffs on the European Union have put the EU on high alert. These maneuvers have triggered a level of tension and anxiety in transatlantic relations perhaps not seen for a long time. U.S. President Donald Trump said he plans to impose a 25% tariff on goods produced in the European Union, claiming that the union was created to rip off the U.S.
The European Union it was formed in order to screw the United States. I mean, look, let's be honest.
We're going to announce it very soon, he told reporters during a meeting with members of his cabinet. It will be 25% across the board, and it will be on cars and everything else.
And that's supposed to take in effect next or this month. So, you know, this is pure greed. He is fucking greedy. He is wrecking this country apart over his selfish greed, pride. You know, it's just insane. Look, and this is another headline. This proves that he rather work with Putin. Russia respects me. It's all about him, not Obama, not Biden. We don't know that for sure. We don't know that. I mean, you know, so it's just a sad situation where, you know, we're leading into where this country is being exposed for how our government always felt, depending on who was president. And we are dealing with a changing Republican Party. The Republicans used to not act like this. I could tell you that. And we're going, if we don't end up being attacked from an outside invader, we're going to attack ourselves. And I think the world is just going to sit back and watch that happen before anything else, because they see we are like a third world country tearing itself apart. It's happening as we speak. There's protests everywhere, and they're building up. I didn't think the protests were going to start so soon. I knew they were going to start, but I didn't think so soon. The protests are going to escalate. Then it's going to be the violence and it's going to get bad. Now, I don't know how MAGA feels right now. I know a lot of Republican supporters feel betrayed from the federal layoffs. We haven't seen any word on any relief or breaks on or plans on how to bring costs down at all. All we've been told, we're going to get tax breaks. And then Trump has the audacity to take whatever Doge savings they're making and ask on X, should we get a check? He wanted us to vote on that. That's fucked up. Like, if you really cared about the American people, you shouldn't be asking us to answer a questionnaire on should we get help. That's fucked up. So this whole thing is looking really, really bad. I mean, I think after this, everybody's at a loss of words. We're just gonna have to see how this plays out. I used to say welcome to America to a lot of my foreign friends because, you know, they come here and the narrative they were fed is a complete lie. And that's why I say welcome to America. At this point, I don't even know what to say anymore. It's just fucked up. This is beyond a debacle. Next channel, CNN. We're going to see what Caitlin Collins has to say about what she witnessed. You saw briefly while the press was walking out, she was standing right at the door. So since she had an interview with Mark Rubio, and of course there was finger pointing in that, and she was very calm and asking the questions and not throwing a spin on it. We're going to see what she has to say about this.
CNN's Caitlin Collins was in the Oval Office for this meeting. Caitlin, it's hard to imagine a scenario in which this could have gone worse. This seems to be a dream come true for Vladimir Putin.
Well, it's not an
Dream come
overstatement
true.
for sure to say that it is one of the most astonishing moments that we have ever seen happen inside the Oval Office, between these world leaders essentially shouting at one another by the end of this, devolving into, at points, Trump and Vance berating Zelensky for saying that he was not being grateful enough for the aid that the United States has provided to Ukraine.
They wanted him
and
to
Zelensky
thank you
arguing
with that
back that
kiss
they
the
do not
hand thing.
understand Putin, essentially, that he will violate any agreement if the proper guarantees aren't in place. That seemed to particularly incense Trump, as he was saying, don't tell us what we're going to feel. Zelensky has been arguing that Putin will not stop with Ukraine, that he will go on to other Eastern European nations, including Poland, as he made the argument there. And Trump was essentially...
And the reason behind that, and Zelensky said it, Putin wants all the territories back. They brought that up. I know they brought it up in Indian news. And the same thing with China. In fact, I don't understand. Have we forgotten that Hong Kong was supporting Trump because the other presidents didn't really see a need to look at this situation? But Hong Kong wanted Trump to help fight for their rights and liberations. And what did Trump do? He ignored them. And Hong Kong went right back to China. And we haven't heard from Hong Kong since then. And I know the people of Hong Kong, in fact, during this presidential run, you didn't hear a single thing out of Hong Kong about we support Trump. I know they feel betrayed. Taiwan is next. Trump's not going to really support Taiwan like that. In fact, he didn't really support them last time. He actually said he does not want to be involved in any of these wars unless he's getting something out of it. But then he's not actually helping the American people either. He has spent all that money saved in the federal government to deport immigrants when he could have used that money to help gather up the homeless off the street. The amount of immigrants he has deported, he could have helped that same amount of homeless people in the streets, in the cities, homeless. But no, he wants to be biased about it.
pushing back on that and telling Zelensky that he had no cards and that he needed to make a deal. And at one point, I think the most striking line from that could foreshadow what the rest of these talks are going to look like, what this press conference could look like if we still see these world leaders come out where they were supposed to sign that deal, is the president said to Zelensky, you either make a deal or we are out. Now, that comes after 40 minutes before this exchange happened, where the president was talking about how he wasn't ready to make security guarantees yet. He said the United States would still send some weaponry to Ukraine. Questions going back and forth about how a deal would hold, how a minerals deal would be carried out. All of that was essentially wiped away by those last 10 minutes that were so incredibly heated there in the Oval Office, and essentially ended with Vance saying that this is not something that should be litigated in front of the press, the many press who were inside that room. Trump saying that he thought it was actually good that it was playing out. And I asked Trump as we were leaving, can the two of you still negotiate given what we just watched that left everyone else in the room silent? He told me, quote, we'll see. But just to give you a sense of how much things broke down, look at this picture of the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States. She has been the ambassador to the U.S., I should note, since 2021, since before Russia invaded Ukraine. She had her head in her hands at one point when I looked around the room and was just looking at all of the officials here. Secretary of State Rubio, Treasury Secretary Bessent, the Defense Secretary Pete Hegseth, the Commerce Secretary, they were all in the room, and the Ukrainian officials as well, watching this play out and raising real questions about what the two leaders here are going to be able to get done behind the scenes.
Embarrassing. 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 I'm going And I know a lot of people are already posting this, but this is embarrassing. This right here. Embarrassing. You can't get any more embarrassing than that. And this is how a lot of the foreign people feel. This is how they feel. We're supposed to be representatives of the UN. Apparently, we sit at the head of the table. The world, for the most part, look up to us because we have tried to support the world over decades and decades. And this is how we have a president acting and treating people. This is insane.
This is the photo of the Ukrainian ambassador to the United States as they were just shouting at one another between the three of them in an incredibly remarkable moment.
Trump doesn't seem to think that the sting of Putin is going to reach the United States. He rejected the idea, emotionally rejected the idea that Zelensky was presenting, that there will be effects here in the United States, that it will be felt here. What did you think of that?
This started innocently enough. The same way the French and the British leaders came and pushed back gently on Trump, Zelensky had started giving a history lesson about
Yes, he did.
How Putin first seized Crimea in 2014. Trump corrected him, said 2015. He's like, no, 2014. And
It was
then
2014.
explained how they had.
Like I said, we was offered orders at my unit to volunteer to go on tour to Ukraine in 2014. I will never forget that. Because in a year after that, I was in a forced promotion to E5 and I was transferred to our artillery unit, which that unit was in a weird way preparing for a deployment to Ukraine or the Middle East at the time. And in 2016, Trump took office. So Zelensky was on the money, on point with those receipts. And Trump was like, oh, 2015. Like, bro, he was busy trash talking all the Republican runners in the Republican race and digging up dirt on Hillary Clinton, and which is why the Democrats took revenge on him throughout the 4 years of his presidency. And now he's trying to take. It's like it's a fucking shit show. Even if he has good ideas, he's being so greedy about anything he does. It's all about him, me, bro. It's like you can't get a good idea out because you're being selfish about it.
Signed two different peace deals with Putin, Minsk I and Minsk II, that Germany and France also signed to guarantee. And what he was trying to do was show Trump, you know, we have tried to do diplomacy before and it hasn't worked. He was being very genteel and patient as he explained it. And it was Vance who took offense and started interjecting. And then it was Vance, as he warmed up to his subject, who then also interjected the, I haven't heard you say thank you once. It was almost like he was bawling out one of his young kids and he warmed to his subject. And once it became that tone, Trump took that tone on and jumped into the attacks.
They're both pieces of
shit.
shit.
How you get from that
Vance
back
is a
to,
piece of shit,
look, you
dick
can't trust
sucker.
Putin. And here's why.
Vance is just trying to be a mouthpiece.
I can
Like
only
he's all
imagine what it
tough
was
and
like
shit.
once they all went into a conference room and had
He
to look
is
at each
not
other
tough.
across the table.
He is not
And
tough.
what did you think as you were watching this
Let's
stuff?
see what we got here.
It's pretty shocking. But what I think really stands out to me is that this administration grossly overestimates its ability to bring about a deal. Completely agree with the point that you can't trust deals made with Russian President Putin. But I take it a step further than that.
Well, anyway, there you have it. There you have it. Kaylin Collins just said what went down, and in her words, it was an embarrassing shit show. It was an embarrassing shit show. So, like I said, there's no words for this. It's embarrassing to be an American right now. We have a president showing his ass, and he is basically personifying the very thing the American governments in the past have called other leaders of the world, and they ousted those leaders for political gain. And if we continue to have people like Trump, which he has a media company developed probably to help push his future followers until he dies, and he's probably going to pass the mantle to his son. And I don't think his son's going to have any compassion or even learn from the mistakes of his father. I really doubt it. But this is definitely going to rip this country apart. If we continue to have family members in the Trump family carry on like this, like the Bushes, we're in trouble. We are definitely in trouble. That's all I got to say. We're in trouble. We are fucked.